Let's see what Jeff has to say.
I was working at a financial firm in New York City with a bunch of very smart people, and I had a brilliant boss I much admired. I went to my boss and told him I was going to start a company selling books on the internet. He took me on a long walk in Central Park, listened carefully to me, and finally said, "That sounds like a really good idea, but it would be an even better idea for someone who didn't already have a good job. You can have a job, or you can have a career."
Notice the boss is focused on risk. He's saying, hey, well, you're already winning. Like, I think Jeff was like he was a hedge fund guy, right? So he was probably making a good amount of millions of dollars per year already. So the idea of him taking this risk, you know, it probably just didn't make the most sense from the boss's perspective. But that's part of the whole founder thing, is not only being willing to take the risk, but a lot of founders are, for lack of a better phrase, compelled to take the risk. Whether it's they're compelled because of the business idea, because it just seems so unique and so opportunistic, or they're compelled emotionally. For me, I know that I didn't choose entrepreneur. This is going to be the lamest thing I say for now. I did not choose entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship chose me. And it chose me because of temperament, right? I am an entrepreneur because, truthfully, I like kind of picking my own direction, whether in every aspect of my life. I like having, you know, my say, my word. I'm doing what I want, not necessarily purely selfishly, if I can say that, because I'm very like, I like to be with my friends and participate and, you know, be a good team player. But day to day, I am thinking, you know, about me and trying to solve these things. And I also am not motivated by people telling me what to do. I'm motivated by things that interest me. So you can tell I was a horrible student. I got decent grades, but I was a horrible student, you know, mentally. It's I need the freedom to build things, to choose my own day, and to not be told, you know, what to do by just people vaguely above me. I wanted to be a participant in building my life, a participant in building things. And that compulsion drove me personally to become an entrepreneur, because it was like, well, I literally can't do this anywhere else. This isn't something that even corporate innovation or some big fancy title at whatever firm is going to like help, horrible play, is going to help me with, because it's just one more boss. I need to take the ultimate risk and try and build something and try and put myself in the driver's seat. And even if I crash, well, it was either going to crash here or crash out there. So I choose to crash my own car.
Or you can have a calling. And if you can somehow figure out how to have a calling,
there's the
you'll
calling.
hit the jackpot, because that's the big deal.
I met Jeff Bezos 25 years ago. And he told me, Dave, I want you to invest in my company. What are you doing? I'm gonna start a bookstore in my garage. Okay, and I'm gonna put it online. People will buy online, and I'm gonna ship out of my garage. But if you invest in me, Dave, someday I'm gonna be the richest man in the world. I'll do over $100 billion. First of all, there is no such thing as $100 billion 25 years ago. Statistically, there's no such thing.
Man, talk about calling your shots.
Didn't have
Jesus.
100. Our national debt wasn't $100 billion. And this dude's telling me at 26 years old that he's gonna be the richest man in the world because he has a garage and the internet?
Yes, exactly. It's exactly right. Just a garage and the internet.
Did not know it, and neither did I. But the difference between him and I is I was laughing, scoffing, and jesting at him, and he was already applauding himself, going, at the right way, at the perfect time, I'm gonna make as much as I can as quickly. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way this is gonna be a big business.
One of my favorite little core memories of startup land was, I remember I was originally gonna start not only trying to build my own little companies, but also start advising and consulting both startups and small businesses. And I was sat down by someone who was already a founder in the space. And basically he did to me what others did to him, He probably didn't even realize it, but he just basically sat down and told me that my idea was bad and I was going to fail like 8 different ways. Oh, founders don't have money. They're not going to pay you. Small businesses will think you're too young. The industry's going here. You have this, you have that. And I didn't even realize it at the time, but I was just sitting there politely nodding, listening, doing the whole thing. Horrible defense. It's okay. I'm talking, right? That can be my excuse. So I'm sitting there politely listening and doing all these things. And at the end, he goes, "So what do you think?" And I said, "No, it's some really good feedback. It's some good advice. I just think you're wrong, and I'm gonna do it anyway." And he started laughing, not like rude, but he started laughing and then he choked out. He goes, "You should be a founder." And I went, "What do you mean?" Because you could tell it kind of, he didn't say that. It like emerged for him, like, "You should be a founder." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I just sat here for 40 minutes and told you why every idea that you had was probably wrong. And you just looked me in the face like you didn't even care. You heard what I was saying, but you don't even care about it at all because you're so convinced you're right." That is a founder mindset. For better or for worse, that's a founder. And I was like, well, maybe I'm just stuck with this. Fuck it, let's go. And then I committed,
Do
extra
something
hardcore.
you're very passionate about. And
Jeff was passionate about making money.
Try to chase what is kind of the hot passion of the day. Seen in that light, it really was a difficult choice. But ultimately, I decided I had to give it a shot. I didn't think I'd regret trying and failing. And I suspected I would always be haunted by a decision to not try at all.
That's a big one. A lot of founders are compelled to start things because they know that if they don't try, they're not going to have that will live with them, that will eat at them.
After much consideration, I took the less safe path to follow my passion, and I'm proud of that choice. As a young boy, I had been a garage inventor. I'd invented an automatic gate closer out of cement-filled tires, a solar cooker that didn't work very well out of an umbrella and aluminum foil, baking pan alarms to entrap my siblings. I'd always wanted to be an inventor, and she wanted me to follow my passion. There's a military phrase that I especially love, and it says, "Slow is smooth and smooth is fast." And
I love that, and I totally think it's true. It doesn't mean you wait for perfection to get things done. It's not the slowest, but it's slow. It means don't rush. Don't do things faster than they need to be done. For me, I really use the word optimal a lot and try to think about that because, optimal is optimal, meaning it self-contains the whole explanation. Hold on, right there, which is, if it's optimal for us to go at half speed, I want to go at half speed for this. If it's optimal for us to go at a quarter speed or double speed, I want to do that. I don't want to apply the same rule everywhere. I want to apply the spirit of the rule appropriate in every place that it should be applied, if that makes sense.
And I have seen that in every endeavor I've ever been in. That's the kind of thing that really allows you to make progress. You get certain gifts in life and you want to take advantage of those, but I guess my advice on adversity and success would be to be proud not of your gifts, but of your hard work and your choices. So, you may be, the kinds of gifts you get, you might be really good at math. It might be really easy for you. That's a kind of gift. But practicing that math and taking it to the next step, that could be very challenging and hard and take a lot of sweat. That's a choice. You can't really be proud of your gifts because they were given to you. You can be grateful for them and thankful for them. But your choices, you choose to work hard. You choose to do hard things. Those are
This is part of that whole enablement thing where I think it's important for an individual in startups, whether they're a founder or just an early team member, to have the man, I'm doing horrible on defense today. Have the skill of self-enablement, meaning they can get started, they can get moving, they can self-direct, they can create a plan and then execute on that plan. What I kind of think of like senior junior people, so people that have senior knowledge but junior energy in terms of where they're willing to put their time and attention in these things. I think it's super helpful.
Choices that you can be proud of.
You can choose. We all get to choose our life stories, and it's the choices that define us, not our gifts. Everybody in this room has many gifts. I have many gifts. You can never be proud of your gifts because they're gifts. They were given to you. You might be, tall, or you might be really good at math, or you might be extremely beautiful or handsome, or there are many gifts. And you can only be proud really of your choices, because those are the things that you are acting on. And one of the most important choices that each of us has, and you know this just as well as I do, is you can choose a life of ease and comfort, or you can choose a life of service and adventure. And when you're 80,
know that there's any life that's full of ease and comfort, to be honest. I think that's very 1% perspective, right? That it's just easy to be a corporate employee or some bullshit like that, which clearly isn't true. And if he could see himself at 26, I don't think he'd think that. Again, there's a lot of romanticization of not only the past but also what it was like to have careers. I know lots of people that they talk about their career like it was the best thing in the world when their boss was clearly like a sociopath, and they only speak highly. This is very common in banking. They only speak highly of it because they survived it and they're talking to other people that can empathize. They're not speaking highly of it because it was a value add experience in their life.
Which one of those things do you think you're going to be more proud of? You're going to be more proud of having chosen a life of service and adventure.
The way that I tend to think about it or advise my kind of clients and different partners are, there's really just a question. And there's three types of people. Let's call it the builders, the the builders, the workers, and then the hybrids. Now, I am very much a builder, not because, and to be clear, let's just be very clear. There's nothing wrong with any, there's no waiting here. Like, I don't give a shit if you're an employee. I don't care if you're a founder. I don't like you either way. How about that? I already don't like either one of you. So now both of you can be upset. So if you're a builder, that's great. But clearly a builder, someone who needs to create stuff and think about stuff, you're creative or you're motivated like me in that way, whatever, you're not going to do well in some corporate, nonsense environment. That's not the way it's going to work. You're going to hate it. If you're a worker and you're put in the leadership position where what you really want to do is climb corporate ladders and work with like predefined structures and get bonuses and meet sales expectations, and now you're expected to be like the CEO of like this product, that's not going to work, right? You're going to hate it because it's going to be doing a bunch of things that aren't efficient to you, aren't interesting to you, don't align with the growth you want to have, whatever. These are the two big buckets that I see most people fall into, because it's either you want to build something and own it and be an executive, or you just want to work on something interesting that pays you well and compensates you. Now, there is, body type C or option C, which is, hey, you're someone that can do both. And there are people that definitely can do both, but I'd say they're pretty rare. And typically it's more of an age thing, where either when they're younger, they want to take a risk, and when they're older, they want more stable, or vice versa. When they're younger, they're more focused on getting stability, but now that they have time or they have money or they have whatever. Now they're able to be a little bit more risky. So these situations exist, but I'd say that generally speaking, when I'm talking to someone, especially in founder land, and when I'm hiring especially, I'm trying to do kind of a mental check. Is this someone who's more of a builder type that I can think of more of like an executive, whether it's executive role or executive responsibilities? Or is this someone that really just is a workhorse? They want to work and they want to be rewarded. So I should set up thresholds for them to be rewarded and get work done. The perfect example of this would be like, if I know someone is just hungry for sales, they don't want to talk to the person, they don't want to advise a team, they just want to do sales, because that's their workhorse. I just want to create the most beneficial sales structure that I can, which keeps this person moving and working as hard as they are willing to, because then they win, I win, and life's good.
There's never been a better time to be alive. I mean, it's just an incredible, the amount of inspiration that the world generates for me, and I think for a lot of people. It's insane, the amount of change and invention and opportunity. Your life, the life you author from scratch on your own, begins. How will you use your gifts? What choices will you make? Will inertia be your guide, or will you follow your passions? Will you follow dogma, or will you be original? Will you choose a life of ease, or a life of service and adventure? Will you wilt under criticism, or will you follow your convictions? Will you bluff it out when you're wrong, or will you apologize? Will you guard your heart against rejection, or will you act when you fall in love? Will you play it safe, or will you be a little bit swashbuckling? When it's tough, will you give up, or will you be relentless? Will you be a cynic, or will you be a builder?
Use my word.
Will you be clever at the expense of others, or will you be kind?
The irony of him saying this and then hiring a bunch of people to like do his Amazon barcode thing in like international markets, pretty great.
Every time you figure out some way of providing tools and services that empower other people to deploy their creativity, you're really onto something. You know, you're very lucky if you have a career. A lot of people end up with a job. If you don't love your work, you're never going to be great at it. Jules Verne, Mark Twain.
I don't think you have to love your work to, like, again, this is very founder perspective. Like, if you don't love your startup, you're probably not going to see it through, or you don't have like a really compelling reason, because just all the difficulties that inherently come with it. Just the truth of it. If you don't have a greater reason, even if the greater reason is I want all the money in the world because I'm going to do X, Y, and Z with it to help the world or to better my life, blah, blah, blah. It's like, great. But you have to hold on to that. It can't just be, oh, this seems kind of curious. This seems kind of interesting, because that'll carry you the first couple weeks, maybe even the first couple months. But when things really get tough and you need a reason to keep going, right? You have a million reasons why you shouldn't keep going. And it's like, I need one reason to continue. It's like, you're not going to be able to likely rely on, oh, this is kind of interesting. Like, that doesn't carry enough weight. It's got to be, I need this. It's got to be, this is my one chance. It's got to be, I won't be a fool. I won't be embarrassed. It's got to be, I have plans for this money and what I'm going to do, or blah, blah, blah. Again, it has to be a reason. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if the reason means anything to anybody but you. As long as it sees you through, that's all you need.
Galileo, Newton, all the curious from the ages would have wanted to be alive, most of all, right now. As a civilization, we will have so many gifts, just as you as individuals have so many individual gifts as you sit before me. How will you use these gifts? And will you take pride in your gifts or pride in your choices?
Generally pretty good. Obviously he knows what he's talking about, but I think it's how you apply something, not just like the advice can sound good, but a practical application goes a long way. So big fan, big ups to good old Jeffy.